Hello, this is Sue Simmons, and welcome to my free mini training on how to communicate more effectively. Okay, so yes, all right, thank you. That's so helpful. Communication, right? It's all about communication. Thanks, Sam. All right, so here's hi, Amy. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, you made my day. Amy is part of my Better Behavior and Beyond group, and I adore Amy, and she has been in a very chaotic situation, and so I'm sending you love and hugs, Amy. Thank you so much for being here. And not that we all are not in a chaotic environment in our own way, but Amy has had some really, really rough things happening. So sending love and hugs. Yes, thank you so much. All right, so here's what we're going to get to tonight. I want to give you some tools to communicate more effectively with your child on the autism spectrum, and I'm going to hammer home that behavior is communication, okay? And I want you to learn how to appreciate what our communication is like. Oh, Amy, thank you. Our typical way of communicating, I want you to understand what it's like for kids on the spectrum. And thirdly, I want you to understand that your child has feelings just like you and I. Maybe we can communicate them more effectively, but your child has feelings and knows that he or she is different and can understand way, 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 way more than we think. So if you enjoy this and you want more of this goodness, then please let me know below that you'd like. Just type in more information about the Better Behavior and Beyond program, okay? It's a 6-month program, and this is just kind of a little snippet of one of the many, many topics that we're covering in the program. So I'm going to paint a picture for you. You have been at work all day or doing your mom job all day. And so we're gonna imagine that you have an office job for today. And trust me, being a stay-at-home mom is harder than an office job, in my humble opinion. So anyways, on this particular day, you get home from a rough day at work, okay? And it's dark out, and it's dark out. You know that your teenage son or daughter is home, but the outside lights aren't on. So you're stumbling your way to the front door, and it takes you a couple of minutes to mess around with the key to get the key in the keyhole. And so finally you do. And that's frustrating enough, right? So you walk in the door, you smell pizza. And you think, okay, so I know, she's eaten something. And then you are wondering, why didn't my dog come to the door? Why didn't Fido meet me at the door? Well, then you see why, because Fido is now, just ripping apart the pizza box, right? And there's crap everywhere, pepperoni on the floor. Now your day just got a little bit worse. Okay, so then you take the pieces away from Fido, and remember, you haven't even barely put down your purse yet. So every light in the house is on, even though the outdoor lights weren't on. And so then you walk in and you knock on your daughter's door, and there's music blaring in her room. And so knock, knock, and you have to knock louder because the music is so loud. So bang, bang, bang. You have to bang, bang, bang on the door. The music's so loud. And she opens the door and goes, "What?" All right, so freeze frame. Okay, so here's my question. When she opens that door and says, "What?" in that tone of voice after you've been doing your due diligence all day and you couldn't get your key in the lock and Fido ate the pizza box and all this crap is happening, how are you going to show up for your daughter? How are you going to be feeling? Right? You're going to be pissed. You're going to be pissed, right? And so behavior is communication. So are you going to say to your daughter, "Oh, hi, sweetheart"? No. You're going to say, "What the hell? Like, I couldn't get in the front door. The front light wasn't on. Every light in the house is on. Like, why did you leave the pizza box out? The pizza box is everywhere." So, right? Behavior is communication. Okay, so, and this does not matter how old your child is, how, quote unquote, high functioning your child is. Behavior is always communication, and it is for you and for me. Okay, is everyone getting this so far? Can you give me a thumbs up if you're getting this, if this is resonating with you? And so communication is a way different, way bigger challenge for our children on the autism spectrum. We're going to talk about that now. And I want you to think about being in a group of people. So now you're sitting in a meeting at the office. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Or you are, imagine your child is at school doing some work in a group. Okay, so think about this. We don't think about communication, but I want you to try this on, okay? We are sending information and we are receiving information simultaneously. Okay, that is a lot of work. Okay, in a group, it's always hard to know when to jump in. Have you ever felt that? When you're, should I say it now? Like, should I say it? Should I not say it? What if I say it? What if I talk over someone? Like, communication is just frigging messy, even for neurotypical people. So we often miss things that people are saying to us, right? We can misinterpret what someone's saying. When someone says, let me think. When someone says, right, it can be like right as in I agree, or right as in like, what does that mean? We have so many, sayings and little, like, do this, do that. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much lingo in our communication right now. And we talk over one another when we're in a group because we sometimes don't know whether someone's going to speak. So we talk over each other. And you and I have the benefit of being able to use a hugely beneficial tool, and that is nonverbal communication. So if I'm confused, I can look at you and I can use your facial expression, your body language, your gestures as clues to help me understand whether you're angry or joking or whatever. But our kids on the spectrum, they don't have that same advantage. Many of them have missed that part of development. So I want you to imagine for a moment that you're not able to express yourself or articulate when you are frustrated or downright angry, or your feelings are hurt, or you're humiliated or embarrassed or confused, or imagine you've got pain in part of your body and you don't know how to articulate it. So just think about that for a moment. You know, I was wearing a sweater this morning that had a tag on the back, and it was driving me freaking nuts. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. It was driving me freaking nuts. So much so that I had to go into the kitchen and cut the dang thing out because I thought I was going to go, ballistic. And so I'm neurotypical. I have the benefit of being a good communicator because that's part of my work. And your child is so different and young and does not have the benefit of understanding all of this stuff that I just talked about. So your child has feelings just like you and I do, but they don't have the ability to communicate them in the same manner. So what would you do if you had those strong, strong feelings, but you couldn't say it in a way that it would be understood? You would act out. And so would I. Because that's the only way many children can. Behavior is communication. One of the moms in my program today shared something about her son who is, for the most part nonverbal. And it was just heartbreaking to hear what happened. And she's learning about some of these things. And, oh, Nadine, I'm sorry. Yes, it is totally frustrating, isn't it? It's extremely frustrating, but it can be done. And it's, we have to be able to build a safe and secure relationship with our children in order to move them forward developmentally. Nadine, does that make sense to you? And if we don't kind of figure them out, and yes, it takes work, but if we don't figure them out and understand them as an individual, then we can't really help them move forward, because until they have the ability to feel safe with us, and not safe as in, throwing them out in the street, but safe as in being able to that we get them, right? We all want to be understood, to be heard. And empathy is such a huge tool for helping our children. But yes, okay, thank you, Nadine. Yeah, thank you. So I want to get one thing across loud and clear. Always, 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 always assume your child is way more aware of what's going on than you may think they are. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with parents of children who are nonverbal, and without understanding this, they will talk about their child with their child right there. And please don't do that, because your child is way more tuned in than you think. So, I think you understand now, based on what I said, that your child is more tuned in. But I'm going to give you another example just to really illustrate it. So you're on a flight. You're going to Hawaii. You're going for a week. Oh my gosh, you waited for this trip for so long. And guess what happens? The plane gets redirected for whatever reason, and you have to make an emergency landing in an undisclosed location. And guess what? They don't speak English there, and they communicate very differently. And so you deboard the plane, and of course we're making this up, right? So I'm painting a picture here. And so you get off the plane and you walk up to someone and you say, excuse me, I don't know where I am. Can you help me figure out how to get to Hawaii? And that person looks at you kind of like, what? And they say, oh, in their own language, they say, oh, you're not in Hawaii, you're in blah, blah, blah land. So I don't know how you got so confused along the way, but you're way, way, way off base. You're nowhere near Hawaii, but this is in a different language. And of course you don't get it, you don't understand, and you're so frustrated because you were looking forward to this amazing week. Okay, Nadine, yes. You know what, ABA, that's another subject that I can talk about because I'm very passionate about it, but yes, I'm with you. So anyway, so then you say to that person you're talking to, you say, okay, wait. I speak English. Do you speak English? And they in their language, they say blah, 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 right, and you're even more messed up now, and you can see that person is frustrated, or they're talking louder and they're talking faster, and you're getting more and more stressed out. Who's getting this? Who's getting this? Give me a thumbs up. So what happens when we're talking to our child and they're not understanding us, or they're not getting it, or they're frustrated? What do? Well, I know what I did. I would get angry. I would get very angry. Yeah, thank you. I'd get angry and I would over talk, right? I would say, for heaven's sakes, why aren't you listening to me? What aren't you getting about this? And my energy would be bombarding my son, and he's picking up my energy. So it's not like he doesn't get how I'm feeling. He just can't. We are on different wavelengths all together. So the first rule of thumb, slow down. Okay, so the over-explaining, the over-talking, the trying to say it differently, it's like drinking from a fire hose. And that, I've never done it, and I never want to, because it wouldn't be fun. So here's what we need to do. We need to speak in short, succinct sentences. And you know what? This does mean that we have to think ahead. And as the parent of a child with autism, we have to be self-aware. We have to understand how we're feeling, how we're showing up, and how we're communicating. But it's not hard. It just requires practice. And I said to a client today, if I can do it, you can do it. Because I was the world's worst communicator. I was in marketing before autism came and, whacked me upside the head. I was a multitasker. Let's do it now. And I expected my kids to be able to get it. And here we are. So you're going to slow down. You're going to speak in short sentences, and then you're going to zip it. Why? Oh, Sam, it's like living in Scotland. They don't really speak English. Exactly. Precisely. So we think if we say it differently, this way, that way, it's easier for that person to understand. And no, it's not. So we have to use fewer words and more. Just think about this way. Every every word is more processing for your child. So we have to reduce the number of words. So, you know, lose the blah, 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 and just get to the bottom line. It's time for dinner. Okay, I'm going to give you some other examples. No drive-by communication, all right? So I used to say to my former partner, Jeff, he used to walk by me and say, "Lululul," and I would call that drive-by communication because I couldn't see his face. I didn't know, "Hi, cat, welcome." I didn't know what he was saying. I was really looking at the back of his head by the time he had spoken, and I never understood it. So I'd have to say, you know, I don't get it, you know, and then that would frustrate him, right? He is on the spectrum, right? And it took us a long time for him to kind of get that. And we are on great terms now, which I'm happy to say. So the other thing is, so no drive-bys. So when you're talking to your child, you go to where your child is, you get down to his or her level, you know, as long as there isn't a meltdown in progress. You make sure that you have his or her attention, like a hand on the back, or a hey, or just a something. And then he or she, generally speaking, will attend to you. We don't yell from upstairs to your child who is downstairs. And I know we're all guilty of this, right? But we go to where your child is, at least in the beginning, okay, so that you can make sure that you have his or her attention. So you say a short string of words, like it's time for dinner, and then time for dinner. Use nonverbal communication. Give your child the benefit of more information, okay? So, and the one cool thing about that is you might be thinking that that is more work, but it's not. The words are more work, but nonverbal communication is processed in a different part of the brain, which is pretty cool. So we can use nonverbal communication, and your child is having to process a bit more, but it's not more work. I'm not sure if I'm expressing that or articulating that as well as I could, but layer on top nonverbal communication. So your child said, "Where are my shoes?" I wonder when you had them last. Pause. Your child needs that extra time to process, okay? So I often say count to 30. You know, not like 1, 2, 3. And it feels so awkward and it feels so weird. Hi, Lynn. Thanks for joining me. But we need to give our children that extra time. We're just so rushed in all aspects of our lives. Does that make sense? Use shorter chunks of communication. Use nonverbal communication. Be animated, even if you feel weird, because it will benefit your child, and your child is more than capable of learning nonverbal communication. Your child is capable of, I'm going to say 10 times more than you think your child is capable of. And you have been led to believe that your child is capable of. And I mean that. I mean that. So how are we doing so far? Who's with me? Give me a thumbs up if you're with me. And if you have any questions, fire away. There is, in my world, there is no such thing as a silly question. Okay, no questions? Okay, good. Excellent. All right. So we're going to talk about prompting. Okay. And this is something I was really good at. All right. So I'm going to paint a picture of a little Jason coming home from school and mom being a wonderful mom. Okay, how do I deal with my son losing interest or focus when I pause and he's moved on and is asking me what my favorite Pokemon is? Sam, that's a big question. And I don't have a super quick answer for you right now, but the short answer is that you need to ramp up what you're doing so that your son isn't able to ignore you. Okay, and we will talk about this more. So for example, if he's saying, what's your favorite Pokemon? What's your favorite Pokemon? Then I would say, and you'll see this click, okay? But you have to make your communication bigger so that your child cannot ignore you. All right, and I'm going to answer that question in the replay after we're done, okay? Or I'll be talking to you soon as well. All right, so imagine this. So Jason comes home from school. Mom says, hi, Jason, how was your day? Who did you eat lunch with? Did you play with someone at recess? Did you get points for good behavior today? How was your group work? Did you eat all of your lunch? Oh, no, don't put your shoes there. Put your shoes where your shoes belong. And Jason, empty your backpack. Come on, empty your backpack. Your coat goes over there. Now, let's get out your homework. Do you have any homework? I wonder, okay, let's look in are there papers that I have to sign from school today? No, it's not time for a snack yet. We have to get your homework done. Okay, no, the ice cream is not a snack. Okay, come on, Jason, you know the rules. And Jason takes off to his bedroom. Okay, and mom says, Jason, come back here right now. If you don't come back here right now, there will be no screen time. You know the rules. And what happens? Guess what happens? In Jason's mind, he's, given mom the bird, right? And you would too, because poor mom, she's trying to do her best, but she doesn't understand how to communicate effectively with her child. And so I did the same thing. It doesn't mean that we're bad moms. It just means that we don't yet understand how to make communication easier for our children. Now, Nadine, my child will mumble words he tries to sing when watching nursing rhymes. Okay, and that. So what is his communication telling you? He's singing while he's watching nursery rhymes. Okay, so he's trying to follow along with the music. And mumbling, yes, of course, I understand. Difficult to understand. I understand it's difficult to understand. I'm not sure if you have a specific question, but does really respond to his name or interact with puzzles. Okay, so you need to find new ways to interact with him, to engage him, okay, rather than blah, 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 which is what we do, right? So you need to get in front of him, and I don't know anything about your son. Maybe if you want to connect with me after, we could talk a little bit about it. But I would love to be able to help. See, we have to learn to decode our children. It's like decoding. Okay, Amy, that used to be me. Yeah, a million questions after I pick up my son, of course. Now I am quiet and let my son have his downtime unless he starts to talk to me. Brilliant. Yes, Amy, exactly. And I think you might have had maybe a little bit of coaching on this. Oh, Amy, I'm just so glad you're here. Okay, so how much of the time are you prompting your child? Okay, when I am working with parents, the rule of thumb is 10 to 20% prompting, and the rest of the time is what I call statements. So statements are things like, okay, and here's Jason's mom after having some parent training. Okay, hi, sweetie, I hope you had a good day. She zips it. And she says, oh, I got really frustrated today. The traffic was so bad. I got angry. What is she trying to do? Any ideas? She's trying to pique Jason's curiosity. Now, of course, Jason is not 3, right? Because Jason doesn't know anything about traffic. So we're assuming that Jason is probably, yes, Nadine, yes, absolutely, connect with me. So Jason's mom is doing what I call thinking out loud, narrating her thoughts, okay? And modeling our thinking, as long as it's done in an age-appropriate way, is so incredibly effective. I'm going to give you an example. In one of my programs, my online programs last year, there was just an amazing mom whose child had done a lot of ABA, Nadine, and it was all about prompting. And, you know, when someone is peppering us with prompts, how does that make us feel? Angry, annoyed, irritated, like we're not human, right? It is annoying, right? How was your day? What did you do? Who did you eat with? Do you have homework? You know, how was your recess? Did you eat with someone? Like, shut the up, right? It's maddening. Our kids are human. They have feelings, and how they feel is going to come out in their behavior. So this mom, we were talking about using statements instead of prompts, and she was reading her little girl a book that they read all the time, and they were looking at popsicles, and all the popsicles were different colors. And she said to her daughter, she would always say to her daughter, okay, what color is that? What color is that? What color is that? Right? Her daughter is not stupid. Her daughter is autistic. So what happened was, after that lesson that night, she went home, and this just blew me away. Instead of saying, what color is that? What color is that? What color is that? She said, grape popsicles are my favorite. So she was narrating her thinking. She was thinking out loud. And guess what her daughter said? And her daughter was more or less nonverbal. She said, I like pink popsicles. And this mom she was bawling. She was so elated that her daughter shared something. So it's not about getting the right answer. It's not about, you know, getting it right. It's about teaching our children how to express themselves, how to be able to relate to people, how to express how they're feeling so that we can converse with them, right? This is what it's about. And so I'm just thinking now, okay, I'm going to share one last thing with you. So narrating our thinking. When you're walking down the street with your child and you see something interesting, let's say like a Volkswagen Beetle. My son used to call them color bugs. And whenever we saw a Volkswagen Beetle, I would say, it's a color bug. It's a color bug. Excuse me. And so look at what's interesting in the environment and narrate your thinking. Oh, I so want to have a nap right now. I'm so sleepy. Oh. And let your child take that in and process your communication and think for himself or herself. And you will see things change. I promise. Now, Sam, let me see. If he has a favorite show with a favorite character, try having toys with the show to act out parts. Yeah, Noah used to do this. At first, he just scripted from the show because he was comfortable, but then moved on to more interaction. Exactly, right? And Noah has a fabulous imagination. So we'll be talking about that in our work together, about how those characters, just like we were talking about, right? Those characters can use their powers and show up differently and say, you know, for example, okay, here are my eye drops. Hey, I don't like it when you do that. Don't do that to me ever again. So rather than tell him to stop, right? If your child has a good imagination, you can use characters your child really relates to help them internalize and be able to understand the thinking behind the words. So listen, I've been going on here for almost 40 minutes, and I'm so grateful to those of you who stuck with me all the way. So listen, this is just a tiny, tiny bit of my Better Behavior and Beyond program. If this resonates with you, if you're interested in learning more about my program, just say more information down below on the replay. If you're watching it afterwards, if you have questions, you know, Nadine, please reach out and let's arrange a time to talk. I am so passionate about your child being way more able and having way more potential than you've ever thought possible. And I've seen it in my kids, in the families who I've worked with, and your child is the same. And you are here because you're a dedicated parent. And thank you so much for being here with me tonight. If you have any questions after the fact, just ask them down below. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with me. And expect more. Expect more.